Hey guys, it's a it's another episode of Mars Talks. I'm your host, the King of Mars, Jayton Salisbury. You know who I am. You've been on this channel probably because my impressions are way down, and the only people who watch this are like 7 people. So yeah. Anyway, this is a podcast episode, and today for my guest, I have with me.
Hi, I'm Izzy. Not much to say. We met on Tinder, so here we are.
Yes, here we are. Me and Izzy have been talking for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, right? We just been vibing on Tinder and then we moved it to Instagram. And I was like,
Yeah,
hey, you want to do a podcast with me? Or something like that. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
yeah.
So here we are. Anyway, for today's episode, for today's sponsor, we have me because no one is sponsoring this. Support me by watching this video, so maybe one day when I blow up, if I ever blow up, which is unlikely, I'll get a sponsor. Um, so me and Issy over here, we have decided to um talk about our experiences on Tinder, or maybe just in the dating or world or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know.
Absolute chaos that is just the online realm of interconnections.
Yes, absolutely, because it's crazy out there. You would never believe the craziness.
I
So,
feel like I would believe it. I've gotten some insane messages, just truly the most unhinged, bottom of the barrel stuff.
oh yeah, absolutely, I believe it. Like, I don't think it can. It can't get any worse than it is online. Well, it probably can, but you know, this is
And
pretty crazy still.
yeah, definitely.
So anyway, I guess I'll start with how I got on Tinder. So I think it was definitely after I turned 18, because you can be on Tinder before you turn 18, but you're gonna get banned if
Obviously,
they find out, because you know. But we I mean I was 18, or maybe I was 19, I don't know. I think maybe I might have been 19, because you know, most girls, most gals, most theys and thems, um or at least want somebody older than them most of the time, I'd say. Some people
you
don't
know,
care, but usually they want somebody older than them.
definitely a
So
thing that exists. Sorry, carry on.
all right, you can interject, of course. Um but I keep saying we. I don't know why I keep saying we. I I got on maybe when I was 18 and a half or 19, and I basically just I basically just what do I call it? Um Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. I got on and I was like, okay, here I am. And then, I realized, wait a second, my pictures are awful. My my pictures are awful. My poses are awful. My bio is awful. Nobody's going to want to swipe right on me. I look way worse than I act. Well, maybe I did look that bad back then. But as you grow, you get more mature, and you just grow. Basically, I went from looking like, well, I didn't want to say I look like a loser. I think I've the thing is that I used to think I was like really ugly, but it turned out like I was really handsome. It's just when
I
you're
definitely
so
feel
handsome. I mean, when you're handsome but you don't know how to be handsome, nobody really goes for it. So
I
you
found
kind of
it
have to.
also
Oh, you were
like,
saying something?
yeah, so especially like on dating apps and stuff, the quality of photos can definitely really determine whether like I swipe on someone or not. But like I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt of if they only have like mirror selfies or something, because a lot of people just don't have anyone else taking photos of them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, with me, it was that I think I just didn't know how to take pictures of myself very well.
Mm,
And I think I was trying to impress the wrong people. Like on my
yeah,
Tinder now, I do have a shirtless pic of myself, but
yeah,
it's not there for like, oh, look at my abs. It's kind of just there to show what I look like underneath my shirt, if you get what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
yeah. I will say like because when I swiped, I was definitely like that one photo. I was a little hesitant just because there is so many gym bros and people that abs are their whole personality. They have
Yeah.
no other character development other than hitting the gym when they were 17. So,
Yeah, I get that. For me, the thing is the thing about me and Tinder is that if you're not showing at least like your top half, like you don't have to like, you know, take your shirt off, but if you're not like showing your top half, if you're only showing your face and like even your neck is covered or something like that or hidden, or
mm,
it's just like a bad pick, I'm not going for it. I feel like I'm like setting myself up for
definitely
something that is, what would you call it?
catfishing, I would
Yeah, kind
say.
of catfishing. Like,
Selfies can be very deceiving, I will admit. Like, especially with certain angles, certain filters. I know one of my biggest pet peeves on these apps is people that only have like the Snapchat and Instagram filters because you can't see what they actually look like.
yeah, you can't see what they actually look like. You can't see their body shape. You can't see, because here's the thing. Here's a kind of truth, hard truth, but a lot of romance and like interest in somebody starts with what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing you see is a picture of them. And if they
Mm-hmm.
don't seem like an interesting person to you or somebody that you're sketched out by, um, you can still give them the benefit of the doubt, of course, but just the likelihood of you getting swipes with, you know, not you being as fully upfront with what you look like as you actually are, um,
Yeah.
it's not gonna do you any favors.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to like at least show like your upper half because I feel like if I don't see that, it feels like I'm just talking to a floating head the entire time.
Yeah, it's
And
just a floating head, and you have no idea what they look like.
exactly.
I think the same goes a little bit with height. I know height is really important for people. It's not so important for me. If you're taller than me, a couple inches taller than me, if you're way shorter than me, it's whatever. Um,
Yeah. That is
like,
one of my other peeves, especially if I see someone making their whole personality about height and stuff. If I did go on a date with a person that's like has a complex about being short and needs to
say
be
that again?
dating shorter people.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry. Am I
Yeah, I can
good?
hear you now. You cut out for a minute. I don't know if you can see the
Oh, okay.
waveform, but you were silent for about like 10 seconds.
Oh, sorry. But people that have a complex about height, just especially men, I've noticed uh, that always have to be around shorter people to make themselves feel better.
Hmm.
Instantly, I'm like, that is a red flag. That is a flaming hot red flag.
Why do you say it's a red flag? So first of all, I think I get where you're coming from, but I want to see your perspective, or I want to see it in your words.
Well, a lot of the times that shows me that they have some sort of insecurity revolving that. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand having personal insecurities, but when you put that on your dating profile, I feel like it it's not so much about you trying to fix that problem within yourself, but you having to seek out other people to validate you and make you feel better about yourself, which is, in my opinion, messed up.
Mm-hmm. So like you have to be shorter, or you have to be. You don't even have to be shorter, but like you have to be below this certain height, or else I'm not gonna date you. Sort of thing. Like I don't think that's
Yeah,
cool. I
no,
mean, I feel like it's a little bit different for like girls though, if that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of a vice versa thing because most girls want a guy that's like 6 foot, 5'10", 6 foot, 6'3". They want something tall. I'm
yeah,
not tall like that. I'm only like 5'9", 5'8", 5'8", 5'9" on a good day, I guess I'll say that.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so when people are like, if you're 6 foot or under, if you're under 6 foot, don't bother swiping. It's like, okay, well, I guess I dodged a bullet there. Saved me some time, but at the same time, it's like, is being 6 foot really that important to you? You know?
yeah. I definitely understand. Well, there is definitely a double standard that exists as far as
Yeah.
height goes, and I
Hmm.
think both sides. I understand preferences and whatever, but people that I don't know, because especially for women or people that are like more feminine, preferring someone that is taller, a lot of the time, I don't feel like it's necessarily based in. Uh, it's difficult without going into like the whole nuances of society and like patriarchy and things like that. But
Yeah.
I feel like there is a lot of standards that are rooted in very old and outdated ideas of femininity and masculinity that still exist and are very prevalent, especially within straight communities nowadays.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the man of the house, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
that stuff is just insane. First of all, the people in their bios that are like, "I want a stay-at-home wife who get in the kitchen, make me a sandwich." That stuff, absolutely insane.
yeah, I don't understand how anybody would want to swipe on that unless you're like actually a supermodel and a millionaire at that point. And then you know what they're actually there for and not your personality.
Exactly.
Um, so like another thing that kind of bothers me a little bit is like people who, I guess it's weird, it's very nuanced, but people who specifically go for a race that is not their race, but only that race. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yes,
ethnicity. Like they're like I only like Asian boys, and it's like a black girl or something like that. And it's like that's like some weird fetishization stuff. Like I understand um one having a preference, it's
Mm-hmm.
normal to have a preference, especially among races. That's normal. I'm not going to discredit that. Even though I don't
Yeah,
have one myself. If you're pretty, you're pretty to me, whether whatever race you are. Um
I think especially when it comes to like the fetishization of, I mean, obviously, I as a white person can't like really speak too much on this, but I've seen it happen a lot with, especially in like the anime and cosplay community, um, people really having preference towards Asian people because of this like otherization and kind of idolization of all things like
Asian
regarding anime.
and
Yeah,
yeah.
which it's really creepy, and obviously that happens to other communities as well. It's just if you have a preference for a race that is not your own, I feel like there is some other things going on regardless of like your preferences.
Yeah. Like for me, um, like I said, I understand having a preference for a certain race. But when you specifically only target that race and it's like it's not like and it's kind of it's weird. Like no matter what you say, it's kind of weird. Like the people that
Hmm.
call themselves snow bunnies and stuff like that.
Oh
Okay,
my
whatever.
god.
You like black guys, but
Yeah.
when you say I only like black guys, if you're a black guy, don't if you're not a black guy, don't swipe right, stuff like that. And it's like, why? What makes you only like black guys? You know?
Yeah. And I feel like that's where like the fetishization comes in. Because it's also then you're asking, well, why do you like this race specifically? And there has to be some stereotyping behind that thought process. Because truly
Yeah.
you're not gonna find every white person unattractive and you're not gonna find every black guy attractive. So it's a strange place to be in.
It's really strange, It's never something I understood. Like you could
Exactly.
be Desi, you could be Asian, you could be Middle Eastern, you could be n- uh, indigenous to Australia or the Americas, or you could be Latina. You could be a lot of things. I don't have a preference. If you're pretty, you're pretty, and that's it for me. But people who are like, I only like this race, it's like, why do you say that? Is it? I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard some rationalization on it. I can't discredit that. I've heard some rationalization, um, and it's usually very personal. Their rationalization, and not necessarily something like I just like black boys because they have a bigger dick or something like that. I've never heard. I've seen that, but I've never. And I want to say that's not cool. That's fetishization. Don't do that. You
Yeah.
know. um, but like there was one girl a long, long time ago, and I asked her why she specifically only liked black guys. And she said that she just felt safer around them because of how she was treated around, because of how white girls have treated her in the past. And I
That's
feel like that's
fair.
more of a personal thing rather than, oh, I just like them because I like them sort of thing.
I can definitely understand like the personal aspect of it. I do think even in that aspect though, psychologically wise, I feel like there's always an ability to rationalize our own perspective, regardless of how insane may be to other people. Because a lot of times, even like serial killers think that they're in the right and can rationalize their actions from their perspective, no matter how wild it is from everyone else's.
Yeah,
So there is definitely that aspect to it as well. But I
like a
think,
narcissism thing.
yeah, it is a very nuanced topic, though. There's so
Yeah,
much that goes into it.
I definitely agree.
Hmm.
Um, so like another thing on Tinder though is people don't know how to have conversations on Tinder. You know,
Hmm.
Tinder's not a place. Well, it goes two ways. Tinder is not a place where you want to keep a conversation, but Tinder is not a place where you want to be as dry as possible when you match with somebody. You're wasting somebody's time when you do that. Or even people who just straight up don't respond to their matches, that irritates me. You matched with them for a reason, even if it's just to be friends, even if it's just to have a quick conversation. You match with them, you should talk to them, or else you're just wasting time.
I'm gonna need you to repeat some of that. I kind of understood the gist, but if you could just like give a little recap.
So basically, on Tinder, people either don't know how to have a conversation or only want to keep their conversation on Tinder when that's not the purpose of the app. And then some people straight up just won't respond to their matches. for no particular reason. Like back when
Yeah.
I was 18 or 19, um, I would get I wouldn't get a lot of matches, but when I did, I would say only about 20% of them actually responded when I said aloha. Because that's my go to word is aloha, by the way. I think it catches people's attention more than just saying hi or what's up. But they just won't respond. Or they will respond. And then another 20% will respond after they respond to me saying hi, you know? It's
Yeah.
very like a lot of people are just wasting their time there.
Yeah. It's it's strange because at the same time, I understand why people might not respond. It is like frustrating, obviously, but it's such uncharted territory. I feel, even though
Yeah.
it's been around for however many years it's been around, I feel like a lot of people don't have experience in it, and since it is the internet, it's a very wild west place to begin. There's not really any obligation to other people, and so it's very much just do whatever and go crazy. And
Okay.
obviously, not that I necessarily endorse that, but I do understand the perspective of a lot of people on there because for whatever they are on there for, whether it's like hookup, long term, or even just friends, I think it's just a strange place to be. So you can get uncomfortable, anxiety, or whatever, and you might really connect with someone, and if you just aren't hitting it off, you might just block them. So it's just a weird place to be.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm saying that from a guy's perspective, obviously, a
Mm,
straight guy's perspective. Like, it's a lot of people wasting your time on there. But then from a girl's perspective, I know it's a lot of really weird dudes and a lot of people wanting to, talk to you. And maybe you're overwhelmed with messages or somebody's being creepy and you don't want to talk to them anymore. Or you're just burned out from all the weirdos.
yeah, and obviously, I can't necessarily say that I identify as a woman, but in these spaces, I do still get treated as one because a lot of people miss the little blip of, oh, yeah, your pronouns are not she, her entirely. So I
Yeah.
do engage with a lot of straight men still. So
Hmm.
I have had several experiences where someone has out out the gate made some very offhanded comments, and it is nice to be able to just stop talking to them, just block
Yeah.
them.
Some people are just, yeah. I may
Yeah,
If you're on Tinder, guys, make sure you always look at the pronouns. Just be
exactly,
respectful. If you don't want somebody who's, non-binary, don't swipe on them. It's that
exactly,
simple.
and it saves so much time and a very awkward conversation because there's been quite a few times where I had to be like, okay, so I didn't see in your profile that it says straight, but I just got to let you know, just so we
Hold on,
don't like.
say it again. You like crackled.
There's been a lot of awkward conversations of someone maybe have added into their profile since matching with me that they are straight and
Hmm.
they're a straight man. So I always have to bring up like, hey, I am not a woman because if I meet in person, there is a degree of safety that I am concerned about, especially
Yeah.
because my voice is not the most feminine. I am on testosterone, so I am very, to a degree, visibly trans, is what I would
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
So it's it is nice to have that scapegoat of being able to block people. I guess crazy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I
Hmm.
feel like that's like a whole can of worms that you could just go down of is dating as a trans or non-binary person online. It's something I probably can't even fathom myself.
Yeah, it's definitely a very uncomfortable position to be in sometimes. Generally, I try to look for people that have indicators that they might be queer in
An
some
ally.
way because, yeah, either ally or queer because it does automatically, there's like a level of safety.
Hmm.
But there has been a few people that have like the God is great, beer is good type of thing in their profile. And I did pay for Tinder for just a month, I think. And so I was going through and seeing the people that have swiped on me, and a lot of it was these people that I honestly think that would probably be at these rallies uh, supporting people that want me dead, you know? So it's just a really weird thing. But I also have had, I don't know how graphic I'm allowed to get,
You
but
can get graphic on here. It's YouTube. It's not about to be monetized. Only got 50 subs.
so I matched with this person, and initially he seemed cool, whatever. Quickly fell down a pipeline of like not okay. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm conservative," which okay, whatever. I asked and was like, "Hey, so what does that mean to you?" And he was like, "Well, I don't believe trans people should have rights,
Oh
but I
God.
want to get pegged by a non-binary person." And so it
What?
was, it was, it was a big thing. But
That's like
yeah,
that's like the meme of like don't go into a Republicans folder on a Republicans homework folder or something like that because it's just gonna be filled with like femboy porn or something like that. You know?
yeah, and it was just like such a bizarre thing. And I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, okay, maybe this guy isn't too bad. Just trying to like pick apart his brain, trying to figure out the psychology of whatever he has going on.
Yeah, because he's
But
clearly confused.
yeah, and at one point he was like, because I was talking about how in the future I would like to pursue getting top surgery, which is basically removal of breast tissue.
Yeah.
And he was, he basically said, "Oh, well, you can't do that because I like your boobs." And then
You
he,
can't do that. I like your boobs.
yeah.
To
And then he
somebody
also
on Tinder.
tried to tell me that I was confused and ashamed of my body. And it pulled out like just all these regurgitated uh,
So he's
stories.
clearly not thinking for himself.
No. And that was obviously very frustrating just because it's like, dude, you could have such a bright future. Just like take your head out of everyone else's ass, basically.
Yeah, like, are you
And
thinking about what you're saying? Like, are you actually happy with what you're saying, or is it just what you heard from a guy who looks cool and sounds cool?
yeah, some real Andrew Tate stuff, I would want to say.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I feel like the pipeline for me. So here's my thing. I was
mm,
never really I was never conservative to begin with. I was never
mm,
like trans people shouldn't exist, non-binary people shouldn't exist, blah 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 blah. I was somebody who was just like watched funny videos of like SJW gets owned by somebody, and then it's like, and then I think about it and I'm like, wait a second, what is this guy actually talking about? And then when you think about it more and more, I'm like, I don't really believe in this. It's just, it looks funny. Therefore, I'm going to go with it. I feel like a lot of people realize that, and then it's like a sunk cost fallacy thing, you know?
yeah, And it's
Like for me, it was like once I realized, wait a second, this is kind of messed up, and this isn't really what I believe in. It's just funny to watch people freak out.
mhm,
It was really easy to just like wake up and get up and be like, wow, okay, this isn't cool. Um,
yeah,
I mean,
and
so I was never really down the pipeline. I kind of stopped at the very beginning of the pipe.
yeah,
um, um, but that's how a lot of people go, especially with like Elon Musk and Aiden Ross and Sneeko and Jordan Peterson and all these other people.
yeah,
Um, they just kind of they keep going down the rabbit hole, and then they realize I'm too far gone, so I might as well make go switch to the other side. You know, I think that's how a lot of people go.
yeah. And this is definitely something that I've done some research on. Not that I can like pull up any statistics off the top of my head,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'm not gonna be like, can you cite that? You know, I'm not about to do that to you.
yeah, but there is actually a lot of um, kind of fascination with the whole alt-right pipeline, especially in how it targets teenage boys. And obviously, on the internet, it's easy to get swept up in so many things and not even know what you're signing up to until you're in it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard of like MLMs, um, like Avon and stuff.
multi level marketing.
Yes, basically things like that, where it's very predatory tactics, and it preys on, especially multi-level marketing, preys on housewives and people that are just bored and
Hmm.
are in need of money.
Yeah,
And that's kind of how the alt-right pipeline has targeted young boys, is giving them a space to rationalize
their
their
white guilt.
insecurities. Yeah. And give them power so they can. I can't find the words that I want to use to accurately describe this, but
They want to from okay, so from I think I get what you're coming from. I can kind
yeah.
of riff off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they people a lot of boys, white boys. I know, not that I
Majority
know
white
of
boys, yes.
personally. Majority white boys. Um, they get to this crossroad where they realize how messed up uh things actually are and how dominant and unfairly dominant uh you know things are in the Western Hemisphere for white people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and historically too. So when they, and so instead of like reckoning with that guilt and white guilt, so to speak, and, saying, what can I do to make things better? They still want to, they still want society to be as it is because it benefits them the most. And
Definitely.
so they then kind of deflect that white guilt and say, oh, well, slavery ended like 150 years ago. Why are you still mad? When, first of all, slavery didn't officially end until like 1938, I believe. It was right before America joined World War II. Um, or all
Yeah.
forms of slavery. I won't say slavery officially ended, but all forms of slavery ended until 1938. Segregation didn't. The last school was segregated in 2017 in Missouri, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I could go through a bunch of stuff like that, but you know, they don't like the idea of changing society so that things are equal and changing society in a meaningful way that puts them in a position where they have to reckon with the past and the quote unquote sins of the father, so to speak.
Yeah, and I
Um,
definitely think even that is giving them a lot of credit for thought, which is something that I definitely believe lacks in that area of the internet because it is so easy to get swept up by a joke and you see a joke and it's like, oh yeah, SJWs, whatever,
It starts with a joke and
and
it turns into you hating black people, you know?
yeah, but it comes more from a place of the hate
Right.
that something you find funny, other people disagree with, and then it leads down this pipeline of um,
I think
you
it's
just get further and
repetition.
further into it. Yeah,
Like, first time you say a racist joke, haha, it might have actually been funny, whatever. I might laugh at it. But by the 10th time, it's not really a joke anymore. And you aren't joking either. You're like actually starting to believe it. That's hyperbolic, of course. But
yeah.
it's
There's a TikTok audio that comes to mind, and it's something about joking about feet. And the audio turns to, and it's like, I don't think it's a joke anymore, guys. But that is
yeah,
like an actual psychological thing where if you say something enough, even if it's just a joke, you will be conditioning your mind to believe it. So a lot of
yeah,
people have developed foot fetishes because they've joked about it so much that it just occupies so much of their brain space. It turns into a reality.
yeah.
So
Definitely see that. Um,
yeah.
wow, that was a big diversion from talking about Tinder.
Sorry.
No, that's what podcasts are for. This is
Yeah.
natural. I
Hmm.
love that. Um, but anyway, what were we talking about? I don't know. I guess we can just keep going.
Yeah.
um, but to bring it back to Tinder, you know, the amount of people with like. So here's something I've noticed about Tinder and stuff like that. Not only Tinder, but places like Yubo, if you've heard of that and stuff like that.
I
Um,
think I have. Yeah.
Yubo is essentially like Tinder except for making friends.
Hmm.
Um, is that Republicans or conservatives? I'll say conservative Republicans. I don't know, man. You know the right wing. I guess I'll say that the right wing. Um, they seem to project more of their politics into who they are than I think any other person, you know? Like, first of all,
Definitely.
being gay is like, I don't want to say it's political, but it's not political in the way that saying I like Trump is political, you know?
Yeah.
Um, just like being
It's
black is
political.
political.
Yeah. It's political in the sense that we exist and other people don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, somebody, you can't say somebody who has a pride flag in their bio is being political the same way um, someone who has Trump 2024 in their bio being like Trump 2024, if you're a liberal, swipe left, blah 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 blah. You know, like that's
Yeah.
you're weird for that. First of all, like nobody does that on the left at all. Nobody is saying they like Biden like that. Nobody is saying they like Obama like that or Clinton or literally any other previous president.
I mean,
Nobody is like that.
there definitely are people that are like that, but it's much fewer and far between.
Much
I
fewer,
think
much far between, and usually those people have like no particular loyalty to that president. Rather, they just prefer a a Democrat over a Republican.
yeah, I feel like it kind of falls into this whole thing of how people are always striving to have an aesthetic nowadays. Like basically if you cannot categorize yourself and make it your personality, then you're doing it wrong. Basically is how the internet is right now. But especially for these people that are very political or make Trump their personality, it's especially from a place of I don't think they have ever had to deal with anything
Much
besides that.
else.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
they
I said,
haven't
it's
done.
it's sunk cost.
Yeah, um,
Like you're so obsessed with liking Trump that you don't realize that you've made that your personality,
yeah,
a part of your personality.
hmm
Like I don't see anybody with Hillary 2016 still posted on their front lawn, but you'll see Trump 2020 still on people's lawn and stuff like that, or Trump 2016.
yeah.
Um,
I definitely think there is a special degree of radicalism that we've seen in the United States, especially since like 2010. I even want to say that with the internet, there's been so much more misinformation that politics have become much more radicalized and about being a part of a community versus thinking rationally about what is actually right and wrong.
I think what really happened is that I think it all started with Obama. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it was always
Yeah.
there before Obama, but it became visible as soon as Obama was elected. I was
hmm
5 when Obama was elected, or maybe I was 6. I was in kindergarten. I just know that, and I saw the inauguration on a TV. Um,
Yeah.
but Obama left president when I was what 13, 14. So I definitely got to, and I was a part of internet. I was part of the internet by the time I was like 8 or 9. So I definitely saw um, some of the reaction of it, and I think
hmm
what it is that some people don't like the accelerating culture, the how the culture of the United States is accelerating faster towards the left. Like
Yeah.
if you if you just look at any statistics, more people are voting left every single day. Less people are voting right. The Republican candidates have not won a or Republican presidents have not won a majority vote since like Ronald Reagan,
hmm
or no, George W. Bush. No, George W. Bush didn't even get majority vote. Uh, or maybe he did. I don't know. It was either Ronald Reagan or George W. Bush. They have never
Listen,
received
I can't fact
majority
check
vote
you,
since
so
then. What'd you
yeah,
say?
I can't fact check you, so I'm just nodding my head, agreeing
I can
with.
look it up. I can look it up real
Yeah.
quick.
Okay.
Uh, when was the last time a Republican president won majority vote? Uh, this was George W. Bush in 2004. So this was like mid Iraq War. That was the last time they won popular vote.
Yeah.
Um, Mid Iraq, Afghanistan, Middle Eastern. I'm not, Middle Eastern conflict. So 9/11 was still fresh in people's heads, but
Yeah.
people are rapidly moving left.
hmm
Old people are dying who are voting right. Younger people are rapidly voting left. More and more and more
Yeah.
and more and more. Like to the point where liking Trump, I don't want to say is fringe, but you're not going to make any friends in most places liking Trump.
I mean, it is cringe, but it's not
I mean
cringe in the
fringe,
harmless
not
way. Yeah.
fringe, not cringe.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like, but more and more, more people are voting now than ever. More people are politically. I'm gonna say it, guys. Politically woke. I'm
Yeah.
nodding. I'm doing the finger gesture thing. Whatever it's called, quotation mark things.
Yeah.
More than ever. Um, being on the right isn't something where it's like, oh, I can respect that now. It's very much something where it's like, oh, wait a second, this guy is weird, or this guy is a racist, or this guy isn't cool. I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like
very much
everybody that,
side eyeing everyone that has
yeah,
that anywhere near them.
yeah, like being libertarian is one thing, but being right is like, no thanks.
Yeah. Even like moderate to an extent has become, obviously all these things are like buzzwords, but moderate has become kind of a, I don't know what the word is, but it has another meaning versus actually being moderate. It basically tells me that, oh, you're not paying attention, but I'm going to assume that you are more right wing or conservative, because a lot of
For
times
me,
it's just, oh, sorry, carry on.
go ahead. Sorry. I was just gonna say, when somebody says they're moderate, it usually, from what I understand, it means that they either haven't made a decision or are sticking out of it altogether. Like they're somebody who's very much libertarian. Everybody should be allowed to have guns. Gay people should be allowed to have guns. Um, they're very much somebody who's, what would you call it? What would you call it? It's like, what's the word for, like, it's not feminism, but it's something else where everybody has equal opportunity.
Um, I, the only
Egalitarian.
thing, okay, yeah,
They're very much more egalitarian than like straight up feminist, if that makes sense, or left wing.
yeah,
They're more like, I don't like what the Republican Party is doing. That's clearly not right, but I'm also not exactly perfectly aligned with the left party either.
yeah. I think from my perspective, especially since I've seen mostly white people using moderate as a term for their political stance, I feel like a lot of the time it is trying to say that I'm staying out of it. But in reality, since so many white people have grown up in households where right wing and conservatism is so prominent, not actually going in and dissecting those aspects of your psyche and just actually paying
You went
attention to
silent.
politics
You're silent like
and
right now.
reevaluating those things, a lot of the times they still, oh, I am
Oh, they went
offline.
offline.
Sorry,
Um,
went offline for a
are you
second.
back?
Um, I feel like a lot
You
of
went
that
silent, by the way.
right
You know that,
wing
right?
remains in them. And it's very dangerous in today's climate to not be actively aware of the things going on around you. So when someone says they're moderate, I genuinely take that as a red flag for them not paying attention, regardless of if their actual beliefs are more liberal, I'd say. I think it's important to be aware of what is going on around you.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. Um, I think it's irresponsible to not uh have political beliefs. I feel like literally everything is political to an extent. But when I say political beliefs, I mean ones that you can universally agree upon with other people. Hey. So anyway, we kind of ran into some technical difficulties, and on top of that, the video was just about over anyway. Uh, you know, so you can't hear us talk anymore, and that's the end of the video. And you have to suck it up. Sucks for you. Bye. JK, I love you. But still, sucks for you. Ha.